Welcome to Bicycle Retail Radio, the bicycle industry podcast that brings retailers, vendors, advocates, and thought leaders to the mic for honest discussions about the latest issues facing retailers while taking an in-depth look at the person within the profession.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome to the Flex. Today's version is our highly rated, super popular retail design Flex.
Woo, woo.
I'm joined here by Brian Hawkins from Fixture Lab. Fixture Lab is an NBDA Association member. We love them. They have been in bike shop design and merchandising for years. They create solutions for bicycle retailers, but also other retail businesses such as cycling, running, fly fishing, outdoor sports. Everyone knows about Fixture Lab, what they're doing. They're here to help, and they've been awesome helping us address retailer questions and concerns in our ongoing podcast, The Retail Design Flex.
Yeah.
We are excited about the holidays. 2023 is coming to a close. The Retail Design Flex started in 2023. And as we move into 2024, we're going to keep this going every other month. On the last Friday of every other month, we will be here covering your most pressing questions on store design.
So,
And
Heather, you didn't get my note about doing this every day instead of...
I would definitely do this every day with you, but we have other stuff to do too. No,
Okay.
come on. So if you're listening and you're driving in the car, or maybe you're getting a ride in or a run in, when you get home, head over to the NBDA YouTube channel because you can see this episode with our cool background images, our fun faces, my cool Christmas nails. All of it will be right there for you to watch on YouTube. And Brian, I think you have some images today, right?
Yes. I got to thinking as we were preparing this thing that we should ask for a couple specific things from people who are watching or listening. Thing one. Are you ready for thing one, Heather?
Yes, let's do it.
Thing one is...
I don't know. Wait, stop.
What?
I always get nervous. Okay, go ahead.
Why?
I don't know.
When have I ever not taken care of you on this podcast? Okay, thing one. Send us examples of stuff in your store that you love. Like, I think we get too focused on fixing things or how things are broken or what's not living up to your expectations. But there's a bunch of great stuff happening out there because we see it all the time and we want more and more of that. So send us pictures, videos, even just describe something that you love about what you're doing. And if it's just a price tag or a tiny little display, that's awesome. If it's a whole store, that's awesome. Whatever. Don't you think, Heather?
Yeah, I'm sorry I stopped you on that one because I love that one. So we want to see what you love so we can share it out.
Right.
Images.
We want to help you brag.
Send them design@nbda.com. That comes to Brian and I, so we can look at them and we can get like excited and then we can brag. Okay.
That dawned on me because one of the things we're going to cover today in the example that we walk through is pride in the store and how big of a difference that can make. And that's like huge. It's such a vitamin for everything that you're doing. You ready for thing two?
Yes.
Thing two is the electric bike.
Ooh. I didn't know where you were going. I had no idea where you were going. So
goodness,
tell me more.
Electric bikes, obviously super category in cycling right now inside stores, and times are a changing, and it creates a very, very important thing for us to discuss in future episodes. And that is e-bike and battery safety and how that's going to be treated by building codes and insurance companies and all of that. Because honestly, the times are changing out there and demands are going to be different in the future than they are right now in terms of e-bike safety. And I feel like this is a really, really important topic for us. So to begin the process of moving towards that, I want to know what people in the MBDA membership are doing to protect their stores, protect their customers, to make the whole e-bike thing safe, to treat e-bikes like they should be, because they are powerfully good and powerful devices that are also hard to handle at times. So don't you think, Heather? I mean, I think that that's
Yeah.
a huge topic.
It's as you're saying it, I'm glad you're saying it. And listeners, this is a really important topic. We know New York City has different fire codes in place asking for safe storage areas, even areas that have sprinkler systems or fire protective walls. I know San Francisco is considering such steps. So I think, Brian, what you're asking is, what have you done in your store? Like, what does your safe charging area look like? Anything maybe you've posted for battery safety policies? Is that what we're looking for, Brian? So we can get a feel of what people are doing now?
Anything goes. I just want to know what's going on out there, so that we can start to share good examples of what people are already doing, and so that we can see where the things that might not satisfy, say, building code moving forward, so that we can just have a good discussion about that.
I love
The
it.
interesting thing about those building codes that you mentioned in New York City, it's, if you follow the letter of the law, it's going to be really, really, really tough for some stores to adhere to those rules. And there's going to be insurance companies right behind them saying, we don't want to insure places that aren't safe. So it's just a big, huge topic, and we're going to help you.
Yeah, listeners, like Brian has been lockstep with the MBDA and Human Powered Solutions, and I know you're on our e-bike panel, and we are working diligently to find some solutions. So we need to know what you're doing now. So yeah, it can help guide us. So great topic. So two things: send us things you love that you do, you want to brag about. And then two, send us what you're doing currently in the store for electric bikes, battery safety, safe charging, anything goes. Videos, photos, written content, however you want to get it to us, but email it to us in whatever form, design@nbda.com.
Heather, did you say written?
I mean, I don't know.
Written input?
Is that even not proper? All right, can we move on?
Written. Well, I think we best move on.
All right, so I'm happy over here. I'm very excited. It's the holidays and I love it. And today we have a very special episode. Would you agree, Brian?
Oh yeah, very.
Yeah. All right, so background story for our listeners. One day I was sitting with my coffee, diligently working along, when my inbox popped up this email. And we're not in retailer protection program on this one, correct, Brian? I can tell.
We're not. We can share the name of the store.
Okay. So I received an email from Nina Long of Freedom Bike Works in Virginia. And if you don't mind, Brian, I'd just like to read this. It's a little bit gushy, but I think I want to give our listeners a little bit of a background here.
Well, if it's gushy, then it must be true.
Must be true. All right. So she wrote to me, "Hi there, Heather. I just want to share this review that I just wrote about Fixture Labs." Wow. Brian and Alex, aka Fixture Labs. Tough to find the words to fully articulate how amazing these two people have been to us. From the initial introduction to the finishing touches, incredible. We decided to remodel, rename, and rebrand our bike shop after 22 years, and literally could not have done it without Brian and Alex. We initially contacted them to simply get cool looking fixtures, and little did we know, they would guide us through renaming, rebranding, and totally remodeling our store from floor to ceiling remotely. Now, note here, listeners, she said remotely. So Nina did this DIY. Brian, Tell us more.
I think we can wrap it up right there. That was a pretty strong finish.
No, I mean, what?
Send us those ideas. We'll talk to you next month. No, they did it remotely. I've never stepped foot in this store. We only got pictures. We got measurements from them. We talked through just like you and I are doing on Zoom. We did everything remotely and they did all the work themselves, which is awesome.
Yeah. A lot of retailers in our P2 groups, a lot of retailers on our Monday Mingle, we talk about remodeling, wanting to start, wanting to get in, wanting to make a big change. And it's like, we talk about it, we talk about it, we talk about it. And then it's like, we just can't find the time. We can't find the energy. We don't know where to start. But we're talking about 22 years in business, and they decided to remodel, rename, and rebrand, and did it themselves, working with you remotely. Listeners, the email goes on, and I won't read the whole thing, but it's pretty cool here, just to give you an idea of what she says. She writes, we had endless Zoom calls, communication. They took the time to get to know us, the shop, our history, our customers, our town, our vision. And besides designing really great looking functional fixtures, they helped tremendously with designing a new logo, outdoor signage, paint colors, wood tones, brick and aluminum wall coverings, wall graphics, flooring, lighting, reconfiguring layout, the design of our shoe and helmet cabinet, cash and wrap, service desk, coffee bar, bike fit area. And they stuck to their budget. I mean, Brian, that's huge. Wow.
Well, you said you weren't going to read the whole thing.
Well, I mean, I didn't. I mean,
It can be daunting. The whole process can be super daunting. And in fact, what you're going to see, because I'm going to show you before pictures, the floor plans before, the floor plans after, and after photos. So we should get going. But when we look through all that, you'll see things that I put in their plan that they haven't implemented yet. So they could still do it in the future. But what you're going to see is a dramatic improvement that they're super, super proud of already. So it can only get better. And I think this will just fuel more and more decisions to improve things.
wait. I have one more question.
What?
What's the time frame here? How long when she initially contacted you?
She contacted us Halloween time last year.
Okay.
Not a month ago or 2 months ago, but
Mhm.
a year ago
Awesome.
with the first steps. And then we didn't have a sense of urgency because they knew they wouldn't be able to do this during the summer months. It was, like our prime directive wasn't to move as fast as we possibly could. It was to help her get it done in an effective, cost-effective way that they could handle themselves. So
Yeah, but it's like you're saying in like a year, she has rebranded, renamed, remodeled, and she is stoked. And I'm sure we already have some customer feedback. All right, okay, let's go. Let's do it.
right. So let me share. Hope this works. Portion. There we go. Oh, can you see that? Their logo?
Yes, excellent.
Okay, so that is their new logo. And what I should share with you is one of the reasons why we decided to cover this today like this is because we're getting lots of questions for the podcast. And these questions on the screen are exactly the questions that people have been sending in. And if we just talk through this kind of case study, it starts to address a lot of these different questions, like ways to use your logo in the store, how to look at your store with fresh eyes, what parts can you do yourself, how can they save money in the perfect store, what's the order of things that people see when they walk in the front door,
Yeah.
what difference do fixtures make? And then somebody asked for Brian to share his favorite examples of store remodels and explain why they're successful. So
These are questions that we've been getting. So, okay.
okay, so when we first talked to them, the name of the store was Fat Frogs.
Wait. Seriously?
Yeah. Don't say, oh man, I love that. Dang it. Their name was Fat Frogs, and I don't know honestly how the name got to where it was, but this was their logo and their name was Fat Frogs, which presents an kind of obvious, well, I don't know.
Were they I want to be like, were they selling frogs? I don't know.
Right?
I'm so bad. I
It
feel like
was Fat Frogs, and she's like,
the first human.
she didn't start out by saying this is the first thing we need to attack. We were assuming we were gonna do this new store as Fat Frogs, and then as we got into it, she decided, she was like, if I was ever gonna make this change, now is the time to do it, because people don't even want to wear jerseys with our logo on it because it says Fat Frogs. Like,
It is a
it's
cool.
whimsical, it's kind of fun, and I like the character, but it,
Oh, wait, so it is possible to change the name of your store after 22 years, is what you're telling me.
yeah, they did it, and in fact, it even helped to kind of build the excitement about the new store, the remodel of the store. They
Okay.
just thoroughly communicated to their customers what was going on. And a lot of people said, "Shoo, I'm glad you did that because I never liked that name." And then they started to roll out their new look and new identity and all that, and it helped build excitement for what was coming. Okay, so what we did, we dug in and we helped them through about 1 billion different versions of logos. Why is this operating like this? Of 1 billion different options, trying to fit with the kind of brand appeal that they wanted to hit. And this is the logo that they ended up choosing in the end. In Virginia Beach, they have a lot of military. A lot of their customers are military, and they wanted to do something that spoke to someone in the military. They felt like the word freedom communicated a whole bunch to them. They came up with the name. I had given them a long list of options. They came up with the name Freedom, and then we just built around that. So they wanted things like elements of a flag. They wanted elements of something bike related. They wanted it to feel comfortable, like on a shirt that might feel like someone in the military might wear.
I
Not
love
to, you certainly don't want to alienate anybody with that, so it has to kind of speak to everybody. But they did want to lean on the American freedom kind of thing.
This is definitely, if you are driving in the car, this is definitely an episode you're going to want to go and you're going to watch on YouTube. There's lots of cool images popping in here, different looks of the way that the logo was, could have looked, whatnot. So, Brian, I'm blown away by this. I had no idea that that you changed the name, that you did, like, this is just mind blown. And yeah, I'm an East Coaster, so I know the area well. And, I think this totally resonates. This is awesome.
Yeah, so at the same time, I know that people probably aren't tuning in right now to see logos. We need to move into the store, but it was important for me to show you where we're moving from and to. This is Fat Frogs before. Okay, so these are images from inside the old store before we did anything. And if you walk in, there's 2 front doors, and if you walk in the right-hand front door and turn to your left, this is exactly what you see.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is not typical. Like they had their service area in the front, like
Mhm.
literally facing you when you walked in the front door. So then if you turn about 90 degrees to the right from where I'm standing there, you get this view.
All right. And this is all before I got it.
These are before photos.
Mhm.
So a couple things to start looking at.
Oh, I love it when you pull out that orange marker and you start circling things.
Right?
Circle that jack-o'-lantern for me. No, I'm joking.
I could, but I'm in the wrong mode now, so I can't. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay, now I can circle. Oh, wait a minute, maybe I can't.
All right, let's
Oh,
just.
there we go. Okay, I can circle a jack-o'-lantern.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Carrie.
Notice how there's a lot of small products that are displayed in the back. And if you look, the further back you go, the more small products there are. And then in the front, you've got the service counter, and you've got this kind of sea of bikes in the middle here that honestly you can't even walk through the middle of. They were just really challenged with space because like everybody, the electric bike just creates a whole different scenario where it's hard to put on racks. It's hard to put up on the wall. It's hard to break a vertical plane with an electric bike because it's heavy. So they all end up on the floor. And then they also have a lot of beach cruisers and bikes like that. So that's a challenging task for anybody to take on. Next up, got to click on the right thing here. If you go in the other front door, so this is just on the other side of that service area, is their fitting area, which is also atypical. When people are getting fit, this is the front door that we're looking at over here. So if you walk in that door, turn to your left, you're going to see the fitting taking place. So we'll talk about that more. And so if we go beyond the sea of bikes a little bit and look back towards the front, here's the two front doors and there's that service counter.
Looks like they have a lot of nice natural light though in the front there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's good stuff. And honestly, when we first talked to them, moving this area wasn't on the list. They didn't come and say, this does not work. They came to us and said, this works for us. So we're most interested in keeping that where it is and doing these other things, you know, like maybe better fixtures or figuring out how to merchandise things, creating better flow in the store.
Little do they know, saying that to Brian Hawkins, Brian's like, okay.
Well, and we didn't set out to say, oh my gosh, you've got to change this thing or we're not going to make any progress. We just showed them the opportunities. If some changes were made, they ended up doing that and they love the results.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is back to that other wall, the right-hand wall. If you walk in the right-hand door, they've got bikes on hooks down the top here, bikes on the floor, and then you can see more product in the back.
They really do have a lot of inventory in the space.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they've really done well kind of doing that.
Well, that's a really good point too, because we've done this a few times on these episodes. These stores are doing stuff right. Like this isn't it's not a mess. It's kept clean. You know, they're trying hard with the tools that they have and they're doing a great job. It's just that we can augment those things and make it a lot better. Okay, so what we're seeing here, obviously, is a lot of boxes. Notably, I don't think there's a single helmet on display.
I just see a frog.
There is a frog. There's a few frogs. There's
You
a
know
frog
what?
there.
Can
There's
we
a frog
take a
there.
moment to recognize that I might be like absorbing some of the Brian Hawkins because my questions are getting better, right? As we go along here, like, sorry.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're tracking. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but okay. So no helmets on display. There's only helmet boxes on display. This is more like a storeroom that has a little bit of merchandised area to it rather than a beautifully merchandised store with a little bit of storeroom to it. You know, it's like this is putting the boxes in front of the merchandise, which is literally, and it's not working great for them.
I feel like that's a thing that we do sometimes though, as retailers. We think like, I'm gonna make all these boxes so straight in a line and they're all gonna be grouped and they're gonna look so good. So we're doing some good stuff, but we're not doing like the right thing. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's not wrong that when your salesperson is showing this shoe, it's great to have the shoe box right there so you don't have to run around the store and you don't have to leave the customer and, you know, they can see exactly what's available. That part I totally agree with. Sometimes we can put them behind a short wall or a wall so that you can completely get them out of sight. You'll see a good solution here coming though.
Okay.
All right, this is in the middle of the store towards the back. They've got merchandise on slat wall on this wall with some shelves. And I put the circle here because I simply wanted to point out how dark that gets. When one puts this many wire bead tires, most often these days, I don't see stores wanting wire bead tires out on the sales floor. In their case here, they didn't really have any choice because they have such a small back room that they're really challenged to even hold the product, whether it's being stored or sold, they were really challenged. But you know, there's things that happen, like the putting the tires up here like this gets them in the store, but it creates this dark cloud over the top that literally makes this stuff unappealing down below.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a fun little feature that they had all along, which is kind of a community area. On Saturday mornings, people gather, like lots of people gather, they go on a ride, and then they come back here, have coffee, hang out, share stories and all that kind of stuff, which I love.
Like that space.
And that's part of the stuff that they absolutely did not want to lose. She's like, don't sterilize this store and make it so that it doesn't feel comfortable to do that kind of stuff, which is,
I love that.
I wouldn't want to do that, but this was again in the middle of the store towards the back. This is, if you hop over that wall that we were just looking at, this is another little service section, like a repair area with their logo. And then what you can't see off to the right is bikes along that wall. All right, now pay attention to the slat wall that's right here because it'll connect to the next image
Right. Oh,
right here.
all
All
right.
right. So I don't have like a great panorama of this wall, so I just pieced together a couple things here. We have slat wall, which this looks familiar because we've talked about this kind of thing a number of times. It's slat wall and it's not being merchandised very well because things are kind of creeping all over the place, not very well organized, and they're leaving all of this space down here. They're utilizing, in this case, some of the high parts of the slat wall. Those bars, man, those are a challenge to merchandise, to display nicely, no matter what you do.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's a tough one. If you have that kind of business, I understand. Okay, so something that's happening here, which caught my eye, is boxes and bins.
Mm.
So we see this all the time. And this kind of thing comes from when you don't have any place else to put them.
Brian, do we need to show all these handlebars? Like, do we, why are you laughing?
But I don't know, you just kind of sounded,
I get so frustrated by, like, do we need to, like, isn't the customer who's coming in looking for handlebars gonna talk to your tech and your tech maybe can
oh,
show
totally.
options? Like, this just doesn't seem like we need to give this much space to stuff that,
There's a little bit of both there because I can see the funky shapes of these things creating some intrigue on the customer, on the right customer. Certainly not on everybody, but on the right person, they would be like, oh man, those are cool bars. I think I need those for my cruiser. Like, that's going to be awesome. So that can happen. It's not like it's not worth putting anything like that out. They could be organized better. They could take up less space than this. But here's the other key thing, and it relates exactly to what I just circled. They don't have any room to put them anyplace else. So whether they want this as display merchandise or backroom merchandise doesn't make any difference because they don't have any back room to put it in.
I understand. Okay, all right.
So it's out there. And that same thing happens with the boxes and the bins. Just because you don't have a place to put it that's out of sight doesn't mean it goes away. It just goes out onto the sales floor where it starts to look like it just looks unkept. I mean, it just looks like something's wrong, like you're not paying attention.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so now I want to move on to the floor plan. Okay. What we get to do here, I put both stores in the same model. So this is the old store over here on the left, and this is the new store on the right.
Okay, I see.
Okay. And we're not looking at the outside really. All we're doing is looking at the inside. And I wanted to be able to contrast things in case you ask a question.
All right.
So this is the old store. This is their floor plan of the old store that we're looking at in those photos. So you can see here's the two front doors. Let me turn on my little.
How neat to have two front doors, right?
Yes and no,
Okay.
because you have two front doors, which creates a great flow, or can create a great flow, but it also takes out another 3 or 4 feet of merchandisable space by having a second door up there.
Right. Okay.
This space was 2 different entirely separated spaces before, and that's where this wall came from, the one down the middle.
Yep.
And that's why there's 2 doors, is because they took over the space next door, and now they had 2 doors.
I think a lot of retailers, I've heard a lot of retailers doing this, taking on a space that was next and then trying to put them together. Yep.
Yeah, it always happens.
Okay.
Happens like all the time.
Oh,
If we were involved in that process, we might have recommended getting rid of 1 door, but neither of the doors is a big door. Like, there's not a double door. So we might leave both doors in this case, because if you have someone coming in and someone coming out at the same time, or, you just have a lot of people, then the 2 doors is going to be handy.
I'm really glad that you're only showing us right now on the screen the location as it was, because my brain's like, I wonder what Brian did. Let me try to guess. Like I'm trying, because I can't see the other one. It's hidden. So yeah.
Okay, so this is their little service area up there in the front. This is their fitting area. This is their cash wrap, like basically dead center in the store.
Mhm.
This is that little community area. And then this is their enormous back room. It's really holding them back in this case, because there's no place to put things that you don't need out in the eye of the consumer.
Yeah.
And because we've divided things up the way that we've divided things up, there's some inefficiencies that are hurting you, especially in a smaller space like this. Another thing that's going on that we should pay attention to is this wall that I talked about a second ago. By having it come out this far, it creates a scenario where if customers here, they can't see at all what's going on over here. So it's just a huge dam inside the store.
Hmm.
And rather than merchandising both sides of that, we came up with an alternative to doing that.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready to move to the new?
I'm really ready. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, this is the new floor plan. Oops,
Oh, okay.
gotta close that or I can't move my model. All right, so obviously we didn't change any outside walls or anything. We didn't change the front door locations. What we did do is pull my pen out again. We moved the cash wrap up here where that service area was.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's between the 2 front doors, and they still have the ability to greet the person the second they walk in the front door. You can do that without a counter too, but part of the reason why they loved their service area where it was is because there's always someone at that service station that can say, hey, when someone walks in the front door.
Mm-hmm.
So putting the cash wrap up there works really nicely. We moved the fitting area that was right here back here because it's a better buddy with the new community area, which is right here. This is a much better spot for fitting,
Yeah.
because if you're being fit, you're the customer and you're on the bike or you're being measured or whatever, you don't want to be up at the front door.
No, that's a little bit just like being right there in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
keep in mind, listeners, these changes Nina did, like they did on their own. So I'm pretty stoked about that. All right. I just want to.
We also put in a wall. Well, you're going to see it in the other views here in a second. But we divided things this way so that we could move their service department into this area and give them a little bit more ability to store things out of the customer's site. I've got to move this. Okay, so what we can see here.
I love when you do this interesting rotation of your yeah, different
Yeah.
points.
Okay, so this isn't very substantial. It's just a small wall here with a screen on it and some merchandisable space on the face of it.
Yeah, but Brian, like this screams to me, we are in the business to do bicycle service. Like this is
Right?
like, bam,
Thank
get
you
your
for
bike
mentioning
service
that. I
here.
failed to mention that, but wayfinding in their old store was non-existent. Honestly, you're going to trip over the service department when you walk in the front door, so you didn't need a big sign. But the whole thing helps you to navigate the store. It's got better signage throughout, and things are just organized more logically. Okay, so here's another big thing as we look at this 3D view. Suggested they put in a counter here for the service area. So now they have 2 points of sale inside the store, which is key on a busy Saturday. They technically had a counter in the old space, but remember how there was bikes in front of it? You couldn't get to it.
Right.
It'd be like putting bikes in front of this thing and you'd never be able to touch the counter. Then we put the service guys back here and we give them the ability with the high wall up there to do things like put some of those wire bead tires behind the wall
Oh, yeah.
because they don't need to be out in the eye of the customer all the time. A lot of the time they don't need to be. It's up to the store, but in this case, they can take advantage of that kind of a thing. It gives them more room to store things back here in that service area. And then if we go over here, this is their new community area. It's in a more logical spot because it's right next to the bathroom. So busy
Right.
Saturday, people are going to congregate back here. The bathroom's right there. And customers can still come in and make it to that service department and do all kinds of transactions there and up at the front while there's a crowd of people over here. The only thing that can't probably happen during the crowd is a fitting.
Mhm.
But, that's just a scheduling thing in this case. But the fitting area creates a great little piece of negative space in the store to go next to uh, the community area. And I guarantee you on that busy Saturday when people are having coffee and stuff, someone's sitting in the chairs for the fitting.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all just kind of hanging out back there, and it's a great thing.
And sometimes if you're doing a fitting, like if I'm fitting, let's say Gary, he might bring his wife Susie, and then Susie could be sitting in the community area, like
Mhm.
kind of keeping an eye on Gary and his fitting. So I think it's perfect.
We also suggested, let me go clear up front. Remember, this was the fitting area up here.
How'd you get me in this display? There I am. Look at
That is not you.
It would have been cool if it was.
Although, Heather, if you want to send me a picture, I will, I'll build you into all of our models, just like these guys. If you've seen any of our models, you always see Nick Offerman in there. A lot of times Beyonce. This girl makes it in there because she's pointing. I don't know. Okay, so we pushed important product up front again. This was in the back of the store. It was hidden.
Yeah, I love the clothing because I mean, I'm imagining if you're walking outside the store, you can see the clothing through the windows and it's like pulling you in or whatever.
Yep. And just like so many other people, clothing is small compared to what it used to be for these guys. So they needed flexibility because maybe the clothing does better in the new scenario. Maybe it doesn't, and we need to merchandise other things up front. They have the ability with these fixtures to merchandise anything they want to. So we pushed important product forward and we highlight things with things like these lights hanging overhead. These honestly don't do a whole lot for lighting the product, but what they do is they say, this is an important area. Like intuitively, you just know what's under those lights is important. And it
Mhm.
kind of dresses it up, makes it feel cozy, lowers the feel of the ceiling down a little bit. We suggested graphics for their logo that are distressed above the display there. And this is a cool thing. We've done this somewhere between 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000 times.
A million.
There is a cabinet that we helped them with. They built this themselves. We provided the fixtures, they provided the cabinet, and what it does is gives you a spot to put the shoe and helmet boxes inside, and on the door, we merchandise the product.
Oh, I love that idea. So the product that is stored within is displayed outside, so it's easy for your staff. It
Yeah.
looks really fresh and clean. What
Yeah,
a
when you see the photos of the store, it's dramatic. Like the change is
There is,
huge.
because there is so much time that could be lost, or just we lose even the customer's attention when the employee has to go into the back to find the box or whatever. So that there is something to that, keeping it very close. So
And don't forget, they don't have any room for boxes in the back.
right, but even if we did, I'm saying, even if we
Yeah,
did, like, yeah.
you're tracking. Okay, so we put floor fixtures. We
Come on,
put floor
validate me,
fixtures out here. You're doing awesome. We also suggested, this is something they haven't implemented. We suggested kids bike racks here so that they could get, what is that, 22 more kids bikes in there efficiently.
Wow, it does.
Uh,
Like that does store them so much more efficiently.
Yep, and then more wall fixtures over here, right next to that area, so that on that Saturday when they're having coffee, they're standing right there shopping and getting all kinds of good stuff. There's another thing that they haven't implemented yet that I'd still like to see, and that's this feature. Because electrics are tough to merchandise vertically. Like it's hard to get you can't put them on, well, you can, but it's hard to put them on a second tier of a rack or something.
Mhm.
Hard to hang on the wall. To break the vertical plane a little bit and make it more interesting, sometimes we'll recommend a thing that goes over the top of bikes that are on the floor.
I like that. I like putting them up like that on display.
So it creates kind of a dramatic feel for those bikes that are up top and kind of gets you nose to nose with important bits on that bike. But really what it's doing is just making it visually more interesting than just a sea of bikes.
I think like every retailer should go through this exercise with you of like, how could we use our space better? Because gosh, your brain is so creative. Like, and your software seeing it. Like there's one thing that you could just talk to me and be like, this is what you should do. But with this software to see it laid out like this, it makes it feel so much more achievable and lets you really see it.
Yeah, it's vital because we make especially when I've never stepped foot in the store, having this model to test everything out and make sure it's all going to work in the real world is crucial. And there's still some surprises when you go through all this and then you build it out in the real world and there's like a weird thing that happens visually that you didn't expect, but this really, really helps. Okay, so one last thing before we go to the photos. Look how if you walk in either of the doors, you have a great clear path from the front door to the service area and around the bikes and up to the cash wrap area.
It's so much nicer.
That's hard fought. That was a big challenge in the store.
It looks great. I want to see photo. Can we see photos of the? Oh, okay. There's more. Sorry. All right.
No. Okay, so I want to share some results. I'm not going to read all these things, but there's some key things here. The words on the screen are literally from Nina, from the store.
Ryan, she is so pumped. Like she is
right?
pumped. Yeah.
Which is that's freaking awesome. Well, in fact, we're going to get to that towards the end here.
Like going to your store every day for how many years? Like you go to your store, you just do the job. But now she's going to her store and it feels like so much more. And she's like,
right?
pumped.
Yep. And customers are saying, "Oh my God, this is so nice. Like you guys did an amazing job." And her employees are saying, finally.
Everyone feels good, right? Like
I can be proud of this spot. She points out that the exact same merchandise now looks more appealing because of the changes that we worked with them on. In the previous store, things were literally hidden. She also points out the mechanics love it. It's a game changer. And the customers love it. And one big thing is that now the mechanics have the ability to work without being interrupted constantly by the customers. Which they keep in mind, they liked the service area up front because of what it did for the being face to face with the customer. But it didn't do much for the efficiency of the service area doing that. And what we suggested in that plan doesn't really remove those guys very far. It is, you feel like you can reach from the service area to the front door and touch it. It's not very far, but it's completely different so that they can work uninterrupted more. We needed to keep the professional while maintaining, or we wanted a more professional environment while maintaining the cozy thing that they already had going on. So I feel like we hit that. Nina completely agrees. She pointed out that it enhances trust and encourages more interactions, which I thought was like what you're communicating to customers when you go through this kind of a remodel and when you upgrade and you merchandise things a bunch better, you just feel like you trust this business more. You have a better feeling about doing business with them.
Yeah, they're
So
investing in their business.
yeah, it's instilled confidence in their customers. And here's the pride thing. We love our shop, take pride in what we do. We're thrilled to invest more for the customers. Like she's really feeling it. Like we're doing this for the customers. The customers are feeling what we're doing for them, and it creates this really great energy. Okay, so these are pictures from the new store. So this is the new branding on the outside of the space.
Oh, wow. Those,
Better than the old frog on the outside for sure.
oh, wow. It looks so nice.
Okay, so in here, a few things to talk about. I don't remember if I put any circles on these, but there's some new materials that we introduced. So it's not just all painted walls. We suggested brick up front.
So is that real brick, Brian, or is that like the fake brick wall stuff?
It's a veneer. There's if anybody listening to this wants to do bricks, call me.
All right, I love
Because
it.
there's all kinds of options and there's some dreadful options out there. Like there's wallpapers that kind of look convincing, and there's panels that you can install that some are horrible and some are great. You can do little tiles that are actually thin brick that you kind of put on there, and they are actually little pieces of brick. So there's lots of different ways.
Okay.
But what it does is it warms up the space, creates some texture and things like that. Same with the corrugated steel that we have going on there.
Like that.
Then I actually printed out stencils for them for their logo.
Very cool.
We had the stencils cut so they could just stick that to the front of their cash wrap, and then she did the painting herself of the logo on the cash wrap, and she did a great job. So it's all nice and distressed looking. It has a really cool texture to it. Another thing to look at are the lights that I mentioned previously. Then you can kind of see how much this has changed. The pathways, that you can see they're still challenged. Like, where the heck do we put these two bikes? We just don't have room for them, but we're doing a lot better than we were.
Yeah.
And then you can see the merchandise over here.
It's great. It looks so nice. Definitely that clear walkway. Everything looks just really, really dialed. I like the merchandise along the wall.
All right, I think the next slide is revisiting the old store. Yeah, all right, here we go.
Ah,
This is the old one, and that's the new one.
I love it. It's such a noticeable difference. Wow. Okay.
Isn't that great?
Now I'm getting sick. Stop toggling between the two.
Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. I'm so excited to see this side. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so in our plan that we were just looking at, you saw a 2-tier rack going down this wall. And that is something, I don't know if they will in the future, but I'd like to see them do it in the future. Put the 2-tier rack as opposed to what they're doing here with these bikes, because it's more efficient. They'll get more bikes in, and it'll bring the top end of those bikes down a little bit so they can do the other graphics like we proposed down that wall. Then there's that great service thing. We created the cut letters for the service and the Let's Ride sign that we're going to see here in a second. We created those things, shipped them to them with instruction on how to install them, and they did all that. Okay, so this is a portion of the fixtures as opposed to slat wall. So they're merchandising, because of the way the fixtures work, they're merchandising higher and lower than they were on the slat wall. And it looks better and it's more flexible and it'll hold up forever.
It looks really nice.
Okay,
Wow,
here
look
comes,
at that helmet and shoe. I love it. I love it.
right?
Sorry, Brian.
So
I'm
much
trying
better.
to- It looks so much better.
Okay, here's the old. All those just showing boxes, and then it's the same boxes in the same spot. It's just handled a lot better.
Yeah.
And now there's a prayer that someone's gonna want to buy a helmet off of this display. And another logo up here that she did herself. Isn't that awesome?
I love it. She's really talented, huh?
Right? I know. I should have her out to other stores to paint pressed logos.
She had no idea what she's getting into.
A whole second career.
It looks great.
Okay, so this is back in that little community area, and I don't have any great wide angle images right here, but there's that sign. We put more brick back there. So we're building continuity between the ends of the store in terms of finishes and colors, things like that. The back side of this little counter has some stools. This is their fitting area, which is much nicer. They've got more room, much nicer environment to be fit in, and you're not sitting at the front door. Oh, there's the stools right there.
It's wonderful. And then I love how the front of that counter is merchandised with like seats or things that would go along with the fit. And I
Mhm.
still see we've kept some handlebars out there on display. So that's nice.
Right? Yep.
This looks really great. And then I saw the branded image. If you go back one slide, there was an image there with their logo. I really like that. That's nice.
Yeah, we did. Actually, interesting point. All right, look at this image carefully. It's
Oh, there's
people on a
two different images. What's
dirt
happening?
path. There's people on a road bike there. In between the two photos, they changed the image.
How?
Well, it's the system that we use for the images. It's a silicone edge graphic, so it's actually a fabric graphic that mounts to the frame, and you can change them out really quick. And
Really?
so Freedom is awesome, and they actually printed a couple extra graphics right out of the gate, and you're going to see Christmas graphics coming. So they're actually changing out the graphics to keep their store fresh, which is golden.
Oh, that's awesome. So,
It's like complete. Well, I always recommend it, and it rarely happens because you get, things happen. But these guys are doing it, and it's so awesome.
I love that. So seasonality, all that thing.
Mhm.
Nice.
All right, so I just pulled out this picture because I wanted to show that great tin kind of texture that they had. Remember in my model, this was all merchandised on fixtures, like hanging stuff.
Yep. Hmm.
They decided that the bikes on the hitch rack were more valuable for that spot. So great. I mean, that's a perfect spot for them.
Yeah.
And they've got a great screen there right next to the service area. There's more product on the face of that counter for the service area.
Oh, those mechanics must love that.
And we're getting close to the end here. I had to point this out because Nina sent us pictures of their store at Christmas time. So this is what they've done at Christmas in the
Oh,
store.
I love it. I love it. I
I
love
mean,
it. Santa.
I gotta say, not it when it comes to like putting up all those decorations in the store, but what you can see is what we're talking about. Like they're so proud of the store and they're excited to make it better and better and better and better.
They love their store.
And for Christmas, she's like, "Oh, we want to deck this thing out. This is gonna be awesome." So look at all this stuff going on there. There's little signs. We did a couple Christmas specific graphics for them. Once we have those frames on the wall, the fabric graphics to insert in those are relatively inexpensive. So it's easy. And now next year she'll be able, after Christmas, she can change those graphics out and then change them right back for next Christmas again.
I love this.
And then she put bows on bikes. She put, I don't even know what you call that, some sort of like festive
I mean,
ball garland.
we really need to get her on the team, I think. Like,
Oh, there's the other Christmas graphic.
I think I am just blown away. And so basically meeting with you and Alex remotely, she was able to go from where she was to this finished store with a lot of hard work on her end, but a lot of suggestions and hard work on your end too. And together, like you've never set foot in this store. Brian, answer the
Nope.
question. You have never set foot in this store.
Nope. I wanted to. But no, we never did. And they put in so much work. And in the middle, just so everybody knows, it's not like all roses all the time. In the middle of this process, she was like, oh my God, this store is going to kill me. Like everything, it just felt, in the middle of construction, it's all dirty. Everybody's complaining. The bills are coming in for every little thing. It just felt dreadful in the middle. So we just had to keep on encouraging her to stick with it. This is a worthy cause that we're doing here. You're going to love the results. It's going to be great. Don't worry. She did stick with it. And she's got something to really build on moving forward.
I think it looks beautiful. I mean, it's so shoppable. It's so shoppable. And Brian, you did it again. This is great. And you answered a ton of questions. And
Right.
so if we have people who are listening, who let's say are retailers and maybe they've been in the same location, that they're thinking about a remodel, they don't know, do they need someone to come in? Can they do it themselves? What do you think? Should they call you? Should they call someone else? Should they phone a
For sure,
friend?
start by sending us information for the podcast, because we could take, all the good ideas on that we can get. But for sure, you can give me a call. Here, we always consult with people, whether you're going to work with us or not, and we can help you through the initial stages of deciding how you're going to attack something. No problem.
I love the questions that are coming in. We have people just asking us so many questions. You can just send us a photo of your front door and it could be help, give me an idea. It could be a photo of your cash and wrap. It could be a photo of your bathroom. We love bathrooms and fitting rooms. Right? I mean, why is that funny, Brian? Right? This is real stuff.
Well, no, I laugh because I had written down, how we usually say, here's some examples of questions that you could ask. One of the questions that I wrote down for today that I didn't even say was, we hate our dressing room. What can we do with it?
I am tracking today. I am finally connected.
So tracking.
Yes, we did it.
Yes.
We also went over our time once again.
Yes. Perfect.
Brian, so Nina, if you are listening, if you are watching, if you are, I hope you're listening. I hope you're watching. Thank you for letting us cover.
Send Nina notes too. Get on there and send her a note and say, man, your store looks awesome.
Nina, you have done the hard work and we are coming for you. We need your attention to the detail and those fine things. Really love it. Brian, thank you for today.
Thank you.
Happy
holidays.
Yeah. So listeners, one more time, design@nbda.com. Send us things you are proud of in your store. We have those 2 requests. So things you are proud of, and then anything you're doing to keep your store and customers safe with respect to electric bikes. Yeah.
Juicy stuff.
I think that wraps it up, Brian.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Have a great Christmas.
Great. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you for listening to Bicycle Retail Radio. This podcast is designed specifically for the bicycle industry, dedicated to strengthening our retailers and cycling community. If it is your first episode, we urge you to take the time and listen to our past episodes.